Hey guys, I wanted to show you this tank, which is my contribution to the amazing gallery here at Aquarium Gardens. And I put this together with the help of owner Dave Pearce and my good friend George Farmer.
Hello.
Who's filming. So I wanted to create a display that had a really natural aesthetic, flowed really nicely, and that was achievable for most people. So I didn't want to use very complicated plants. I wanted to do something that had been inspired by habitats I've seen in Brazil, particularly in the highland karst rivers, where you have large stands of plants, such as Potamogeton illinoensis, which is 2 or 3 meters tall going up to the surface. And then through them you have corridors of plants, such as Nymphaea gardneriana, the carpeting water lily, Helanthrium bolivianum, and other species. And the fishes are moving through the plants. It's a very dense, rich habitat. And so I think we've achieved that here. You can see that the way the fish are engaging with this habitat, you can see how they're moving through the cover. We've chosen the green neons, which was the fish that I decided on from the outset. I knew how they would interact with this display. And I knew that the blue would look really nice with the bright greens. And then when they go into the shaded areas, they're still apparent, but in a much subtler way. You can see how they're up at the surface area here in the darker leaves of the Cryptocorn balensae, and they contrast really nicely with those sort of red almond colours. So this tank's been up for about 6 weeks. It's filling in really well. There were some changes which we talked about. Originally I had the Nymphaea gardneriana, the carpeting lilies, at the front as well. But Dave, the owner, realised that they were hiding this break in the wood, which was actually one of the main features of the display. So he moved them to the back, and I think that was totally the right call. And we've added 2 other species here. We've added some of the Liliopsis mauritiana, which is a very narrow-leaved, slightly brittle plant, in order to blend a little bit more from the small helianthum at the front into the taller Aponogetons and Cryptocorns at the back. We've also added some Cryptocorn castata, which you can see with these slightly pinkish leaves. And I suggested that to Dave as a complement to the darker-leaved Cryptocorn balensae. There's 2 variants in here. There's a Tropica one, which is bright green, and then this, I think it's the one from Aquadip, which is this sort of olive brown color, which is really nice. Dave and I are thinking about adding a 3rd Cryptocorn, which is the Cryptocorn spiralis tiger, which is pinkish and red. We're not totally decided on that yet, but I think it'll look pretty good. We've got Potamogeton gayi, which is this fine-leaved, very long and slender leaves, and quite, well, virulent plant once it gets going, which I've noticed went out of fashion for a long time, and recently it's been more and more popular. I've seen it in a number of ADA displays online and things people are doing. Very fast grower, very easy plant, tolerates cooler temperatures as well, so it's a good plant if you're running a cooler tank. We've got the Najas guadalupensis. Now, a lot of people struggle with this plant because it's really brittle. If you blink, it'll break, but you can just plant off any broken bits. It'll take again. It's used a lot in the States, where it's known as guppy grass. People use it in breeding tanks. You can see it's grown up to the surface here. It's blending really nicely with the Potamogeton and into the taller, slender leaves of the Cryptocorn. And at the back, we've got the Aponogeton longiplumulosus, which I'm hoping will put up some nice pink flowers for us. One of the ideas that this was a tank that would feature flowers above the surface, bringing another element to the display. The Nymphaea gardneriana, I had expected it to stay low and carpet. It's decided to put up some very attractive leaves, and if George looks on the top, you can see you've got these. They start off as pale yellow, orange, then go to green, and it just adds an extra element to the display. They're great because they also provide cover for our fishes. Other plants that we've got in here, we've got the Helanthrium bolivianum in the carpet, mixed in with Helanthrium tenellum green, and we've got Sagittaria subulata, which often goes quite tall. In this display, it's decided to stay low, and that's to the benefit of the display. It's forming a part of the carpet. It adds another texture to this kind of matrix of broad and narrow, tall, short, bright and darker green leaves at the front. Prevents it being uniform, as George would like to say, linear. The wood, Dave's added some lovely mosses like Physidans and some Ricardia to the wood. Initially, I wasn't too much of a fan, and now I realise it's brilliant. And I think having some of the wood visible is also really good because it retains the contrast with the plants. If you covered it totally in the moss, the wood itself would disappear and we'd lose the feature and the angle and the flow. So everything is taken into consideration here, even the flow of the water. We've got the wood going this way, sort of left, down to the right, but our plants are being blown from the right to the left. So we have a sort of circular motion going on. This tank's going to fill out even more as the guppy grass and the Potamogetans get going. Maybe the Sagittaria will start filling up here. Although they do require pruning, some of the species in here, none of them are difficult, none of them are challenging. Most of them are very happy in medium lighting. Most of them will grow fine even without CO2. Here we were able to give them CO2 injection, fantastic lights in the form of this twin star, and lots of love and attention from Dave and his team. And so we're going to get the best out of these tanks. So Dave is a big fan of, maximizing the potential of your plants and just seeing how well they thrive. And it's provided this wonderful home for the fish. Future fish additions, there's 3 species that I would like to add. A few of the neon green rasboras, which is Microdivaria cuberti, and I think they will be really fun because they're green, they will sort of disappear and then you'll suddenly notice them. Just a couple of them, maybe 12 or so. I would like to add a pair of Apistogramma trifasciata, dwarf cichlids, get some movement going on at the bottom. The blue will complement the green neons. And I would like to add a small team of Rathbun's tetras, Aphiocarex rathbuni, have a green body with a red belly, which will complement our cherry shrimp and some of the reddish in the plants. And these guys are really good, almost as a cleanup crew. They pick at detritus, they pick at bits of algae, and they'll be darting around, sort of just constantly working away. The green neons, when there's lots of people in the shop, they tend to hide a little bit. So having the active Rathbun's tetras that never have any fear out and about will probably encourage our neons to come out and show themselves more. So I'm really proud of this display, and I really love how it's gone from being an idea in my mind to being on paper to becoming a reality. That's been facilitated by my wonderful friends George, Dave, who very kindly agreed to let me have a corner of his shop to showcase it and put in resources and time and energy, and George, who is involved in the artistic process and is here with me now filming. So I'm really pleased, and I hope that other people are inspired by it, that they think, an aquascape doesn't have to be static or rigid or conform to too many rules. It can be a naturalistic, flowing style display. If the fish are happy and the plants are thriving and you enjoy just sitting down and watching it, I think you've succeeded.